Well, I have my husband and my 3 grown children. I have a 25-year-old boy that's married to a darling little girl. And then I have my 22-year-old daughter and then my 20-year-old daughter, and she's still in Knoxville with us. And so these children grew up and left me with their daddy. And he is so not fun. And so he doesn't chat. And so I'm just at home talking to myself. And we've got 2 beagles. And we miss these children so bad that we just sit and kiss them in the mouth. So I'm trying to adjust to just being with their daddy. And so I bought him tickets to go see Def Leppard and Journey. Okay, let me tell you. Have y'all been to concerts lately with old people that are older than I am? Okay, we went and I thought, oh, we're going to have a fun date. And I said, where are we going to go out to eat? And he goes, I don't have time for that. It was on a weeknight. So he went to the Pilot and bought himself a tall boy. And I think that's what it's called, and an egg salad sandwich from the Pilot. And so I didn't get to eat, and I was so hungry. And it dawned on me at a concert. You know, when I was 20 and I'd go to a concert, I was at University of Tennessee, and so I'd go to Thompson Bowling. And I'd wear a crop top. And I didn't care about eating. I wasn't hungry, you know. I was thinking what boys were going to be there, and I had on little bitty breeches. Because I still had a metabolism and my thyroid was acting right. Okay. So we go to Def Leppard and Journey, and everybody there is our age. And everybody's worried about the snack bar, first of all. And I was too. And I was so hungry, and I noticed that people had big Diet Cokes, like big buckets of Diet Coke, and were sucking on those big buckets of Diet Coke while the concert was going on. And every once in a while, somebody would stand up and then they'd sit back down. So I found out in the United States there's called competition cheer. And we have it here in Knoxville. It's called the Sharks. Premier Sharks. So I dropped her off so that she could audition or try out or whatever you call it for that. And she came out, ended up making like a bad Mama Jamma squad because all the little children her age came up to here on her, and somebody's got to throw them up in the air. So they said, oh my gosh, we want her so bad. And they said, you're going to drop her off 2 days a week, and she's going to learn this 2.5-minute routine, and it's going to cost you $150 a month. And I said, okay. And then they said, there's a uniform that we're going to order for her, and it's sequined up the sleeves, and it comes to right here, and it's going to expose her stomach, and then it's going to have a tiny little skirt with it, with a slit in it, with a glitter panty underneath it. And that's $300. And it comes with its own bag of makeup and a bow. And I called it a whore outfit. And that little bag of whore makeup made all the little children look like whores together. And they said, y'all are going to travel to faraway lands, and you're going to compete against other little whore children. So we drove to Atlanta and Cincinnati and places like that. And we'd drive up to a big coliseum that would be pitch black in it. and there would be music pumping and lights, and there'd be a darling feminine boy announcing. And there would be tens of thousands of little whore children walking around. And they would say, you and your husband need to pay $150 for her to be in this competition. And you each need a armband that costs $30 to get in to see your baby in this competition. The corn dogs cost $15. So this baby, let me tell y'all about her. I have treated her different from all the other ones, honey, because, all right, everything that she'd do, like she'd start crying when she's a baby, because babies, you know, the third, fourth, and fifth, you know, they cry, and you just let them. And I'd be like, what's she crying about? She wants your toy? Well, just give it to her. I can't deal with it. I remember saying one time, you want those knives to play with? Okay. What? Okay. When she was getting her driver's license, so different from when the first one got his. Honey, he got his, and we were so strict with him. We'd say, you can go to school, but you got to call us when you get there. You can only come home. And then after 6 months, we were like, you can go to Steak and Shake. And then you got to come home. So strict. Then the second one didn't care anything about driving, really didn't start till she was close to 17. Well, this baby wanted hers the day she turned 16. I didn't think she was going to pass it because she doesn't care. So, but she did because she's smart. All right, let me tell you, she's one of those kids that, I know y'all know people like this. Like if I gave her $20 and said, make it to New York tonight, she would do it and have money left over. Like she's, you know, people like that, like got it up. Okay, so she passed that test. I was so mad because I thought, oh, I'm not going to have a baby in the car with me anymore, even though when they're in middle school and high school, isn't that aggravating? When they turn that radio up and it's blasting and I don't like that song and booming and a-doing, and then I'm trying to drive and I feel like when I can't hear, I can't see. Oh, I don't know. It's awful. But she went and got that darn driver's license, and this is how different it was raising her from the first one and the second one. She got that driver's license. My husband and I were sitting there at night, and he said, where is she? And I said, I don't know. And he said, does she have any money? And I said, I don't know. Nobody ever said another word. We still don't know where she went. I'm trying to adjust to just being with their daddy, and so I bought him tickets to go see Def Leppard and Journey. Okay, let me tell you. Have y'all been to concerts lately with old people that are older than I am? Okay, we went and I thought, oh, we're going to have a fun date. And I said, where are we going to go out to eat? And he goes, I don't have time for that. It was on a weeknight. So he went to the Pilot and bought himself a tall boy. And I think that's what it's called, and an egg salad sandwich from the Pilot. And so I didn't get to eat, and I was so hungry. And it dawned on me at a concert. You know, when I was 20 and I'd go to a concert, I was at University of Tennessee, and so I'd go to Thompson Bowling. And I'd wear a crop top. And I didn't care about eating. I wasn't hungry, you know. I was thinking what boys were going to be there, and I had on little bitty breeches. Because I still had a metabolism and my thyroid was acting right. Okay. So we go to Def Leppard and Journey, and everybody there is our age. And everybody's worried about the snack bar, first of all. And I was too. And I was so hungry, and I noticed that people had big Diet Cokes, like big buckets of Diet Coke, and were sucking on those big buckets of Diet Coke while the concert was going on, and every once in a while, somebody'd stand up and then they'd sit back down. Let me tell you about this baby. We are becoming the best of friends, really, because she's now 21 years old, and she has always been a beauty and so smart and fun and hateful. Okay, so now she not to other people. She holds it in when she's in public so that she can come home and let it out on me. And that's okay, I'm her safe person. And I believe that God allows this when your children get in about, I don't know, junior, senior in high school, because He knows that you're grieving, because they're gonna leave. And He knows that you're gonna take to the bed over it. So, their junior and senior year, something happens. And they change on you. And they get to be the meanest people you've ever been around. So by the time they're ready to leave, you kick their crap out onto the curb. Her junior year, this started, okay, the very breath that I breathed out of my nostrils made her so angry. We were not allowed to eat cereal in our own home. Because she couldn't stand to hear us chew. And I don't mean to talk about her because she had a lot on her. She had a lot on her, like she had to empty the dishwasher. And that's a lot, you know. I'll give y'all an example. Okay, at the University of Tennessee in her sorority, these girls will come home, you know, and I'll cook for them and do, and I'm tickled. All right, well, they like Memphis, Nashville girls. Well, a little girl came home with her and spent 2 nights. So I washed that little thing's clothes, and all I said to this little girl was, "Katie, you're so tiny. Your little underwear looks like a slingshot." That little girl thought it was funny, and my baby went. So I got out of there. So when that little girl left, I came back in, I went, "What's wrong with me saying that her little panties look like a slingshot? I wish somebody'd say my panties look like a slingshot." My panties looked like... Have y'all ever seen Mel Gibson in Braveheart? You know when they pull that big ball out and that thing looks like it's a catapult. They pull that big ball, fling it, and kill a bunch of children with it. That's what my panties look like. Do y'all know who owns Victoria's Secret? I used to buy my panties at Victoria's Secret, but they started cutting me in two. All right. Do y'all know who, seriously, do y'all know who owns it? Satan. Okay, so he came to me in, he was in middle school or high school, and he's very spiritually mature, has always been. I didn't do it. Their daddy didn't do it. God did it. But we call him our little Billy Graham. But anywho, so he was dating a little girl, and he came home, and I said, "What y'all been doing?" And he said, "We've been watching a movie, and we were kissing." I said, "Oh, that's normal. That's okay." But I said, baby, before you know it, one thing can get out of hand. You've got your arm around somebody, and then you've got your hand on her leg. Things can get out of control. He looked at me like I was crazy. And he said to me, Mom, I've prayed about this. Nothing like that's going to happen. And I know he meant that. And all I could think of to myself was some of the nastiest things I ever did. Was at the Adams United Methodist Youth Fellowship. On a hayride. I don't know what it was about hay that set me on fire. I wish it did now. I could get a new purse out of that. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? Youth groups. And we've all, here in the South, we've all been raised in church, Did y'all ever go to a lock-in? What little fool came up with that? Y'all know that it was some precious little woman maybe, and they were like, they were in a committee meeting, and she was like, oh gosh, y'all, we need to come up for something for all the hormonal teenagers. I know. We'll put them in the church building and lock the door and turn the lights out and leave them there all night. Maybe somebody will end up pregnant. And we were going to learn the cha-cha to Earth, Wind, and Fire, and I was going to kill it. Well, one night, he kind of flung me hard, and I thought, oh, something popped. And something doesn't feel right. The next morning, I woke up, and there was this big bulging thing about right here. And I called my girlfriend in Greenville, Tennessee, and I said, I think I've got backed up poop. And she said, because I have trouble with that. But she said, I don't think poop goes up that far. And so she looked on her iPad on WebMD, and she sent me this picture of this man looked like an alien coming out of him. She said, is that it? And I go, that's it. She goes, you've got a hernia. So I went to my doctor, and they said, we can't push this thing back in. And so the thing was in 5 days with the Children's Hospital, and I didn't want to let them down. And I thought, Lord, what are we going to do? And my girls stepped in and learned a dance in 4 days. Bless their hearts, and they're practically nude. And they had to wear all that too. And I came out in a wheelchair to Proud Mary Keep On Turning. Thank you. And it all turned out good. The girls did that dance. You've seen that video from a long time, from the 60s with Tina Turner, and they were doing that dance. It looked like car wash, something going through. Y'all seen that? And you know that Ike probably whipped her in a cocaine rage before she hit that video. So I thought, if she can do it, I can do it. But let me tell you, it ended up a wonderful thing. We raised a lot of money, and it was a blessing. And this blessing came out of it. Let me tell you, my husband found out about the cuddling program, and he is a baby cuddler. He cuddles drug-dependent babies every Wednesday night in Children's Hospital. Thank you. Thank you. That is so sweet. He didn't help me with mine, but that is so It's because he was out making a living. But anyway, what I learned out of that whole hernia thing was that God forbid God forbid that I got sick with something bad, because I truly believe that my husband and my children would let me die. That's what I learned out of that. I laid up in the bed for 3 days and nobody checked on me. I remember hobbling over to the stairs and yelling down, "Are we gonna eat anything?" And I could just hear people going through my purse. I'm hot flashing right now. Hot flashing right now. You are too, you angel. Do you have sweat going down your crack? You do? Yeah, I do too.